Man, it just hit the fan last night. I was like, man, I gotta talk about this. Well, once Black Adam was going to be streaming on HBO Max, this presented a problem that many people didn't know and was unaware of. Black Adam was never meant to be streamed right away. Another thing that really pissed off Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, the producers of Black Adam, when they made this film, Warner Brothers were projecting a $600-700 million return from the film when they first was in production. COVID happened, and those projections, for some reason, did not change. They still projected this movie was going to be massive just because they had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And the fact that this film was going to be so massive in scope and scale, and we're going to see things we never saw before in the DC universe, we truly did. From a DC perspective, I don't think we've ever had that much action. Like, it was almost so much action going on in the movie. You're like, wow. From characters you didn't see in a DC universe on a major screen, and you're probably wondering why. Now, the problem ensued once the marketing did not live up to the hype, because the drawbacks is the Flash was giving it bad. DC was getting such bad media in the press due to the atrocities that was going on with one of its main characters, the Flash, in his DC universe. Now, the Flash movie kept getting put back, and the Flash character never was recasted. They're sticking with that guy no matter what he seems to be going through. The Me Too movement, this guy has literally done everything that they're saying he did. And he gets to go to therapy and gets a slap on the wrist. He just says, I'm a neutral gender, protect me. So they say, okay, well, we can't lock you up. Meanwhile, the promotion of Black Adam, after everything that had in the Comic Con and everything in the DC universe was going to change, the power dynamic, it definitely did change. The power dynamic went from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's plans to James Gunn's plans. And now we have a major problem, because it's an entirely different scenario altogether playing out from what was promised and what was asked. When Black Adam came out to the movie theaters, the fans loved it. Even though the media came out and bashed it, the fans loved it. The fans' rating was way higher than they thought, and couldn't understand how could the critics and the fans be so off base when it comes to a superhero movie. The critics were reviewing it as if it was Taming of the Shrew or something, while the fans went in there to see a DC movie, a superhero movie, and they loved it. Now, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever by it being so close to the release date of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which everything should have stood away from that, with the weight of Chadwick Boseman and everything that happened in that project. This was a piece of cinematography that was going to get everyone's attention. The marketing budget for that film, for Wakanda Forever, was huge. You have Mexico involved. You have all these different countries. Black Adam rollout was like at the Chinese Man Theater or something, like in somebody's backyard. They didn't spend a lot of money on the Black Adam rollout like they should have for the marketing and, stand out for the film. But The Rock is pointing out that this is just the first building block. We're working towards an Avengers-like movie. And what he was pointing out in his tweet is that the first Captain America only did like $320 million at the box office. It wasn't a huge success, but it laid down the foundation to what Winter Soldier ended up becoming. But all of that happened and blew those characters' movies up once they created New York and had the first Avengers movie. Then you were able to establish all of the characters and what they really meant to the universe that you were creating. Now, instead of arriving there on time and getting to that, we're stuck in developmental hell. DC Universe main problem is Warner Brothers. They keep interfering and doing the wrong damn thing. Bringing over James Gunn is just saying, "Oh, you're going to run everything, James Gunn." That's a problem. James Gunn does not make children-friendly movies. Okay? Love the way he directs our kind of movies. Guardians of the Galaxy is not a children's film whatsoever. But Rocket and, Little Groot, they love that. The kids love them. The adults and everyone else, they love all the other characters and how all the personalities are different. That's what stands out about the Guardians of the Galaxy. And not needless to say, the music. Now, on the Screen Fiend channel, we will address the new script that they have in place and the ideas that they have for Superman. So, back in October, after the reveal that Henry Cavill makes a cameo, after Dwayne Johnson had to basically beg them to get Henry Cavill back as Superman for this cameo, that was huge for the film. Everybody was drawn and wanted to go and see it. The Rock was disappointed. On Warner Brothers' social media site, that people were leaking the scenes online, and their basically watchdogs are allowing it to go on social media, saying it's creating buzz for people to run out and go see the movie. It's like, no, a lot of people want to see this cameo, and now they don't have to go to the movies to see the cameo. They're being able to watch it in very terrible resolution on social media, and you guys are allowing it. And you guys pay guys to stop stuff like this. It's not making any sense. For the time, the effort, and the money that was put in. Now, Black Adam, once again, the DC who told The Rock he had full autonomy, once again found out he did not have full autonomy as everything starts to unfold. So, in case you guys don't know, The Rock is the producer of Shazam, which did very well at the box office, the first one. Now, Fury of the Gods is going to follow this Shazam movie, which is supposed to have a cameo by The Rock, which they hadn't filmed yet. They were going to add on that cameo scene, and The Rock declined to do this cameo scene. Allegedly, we don't know what's going to happen there, but from what we heard, he declined it. He and his producer that came over and that he brought over, his team, to redirect Superman and redirect the direction of it, because Dwayne Johnson is very good friends with Henry Cavill anyway outside of this. So him coming back, Henry Cavill was like, I would do that just for his movie, just to do it. You know, like this is his friend, so he wouldn't mind doing it, period. So it was one of the producers of the film that works with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He was a little bit more livid as well because they're all friends and they all work together and they don't understand the direction that they're going in. So everything is really bizarre because people have different ideals on which direction they want to go. Now, the problem being, and many people just don't get, like the director and the producers that worked with The Rock that came over here, they had been told one thing and now things seem to be changing. Now, everyone's trying to look and say, well, Black Adam didn't live up to the production numbers that people thought they were going to do. This is incorrect. Very incorrect. The movie is going to end up with about 400 million box office, which is far less than the projections of what DC was thinking. But this is where The Rock is like, this is a good number. We're making a profit. Yeah, but making a profit of about 75 million or close to 100 million. That's not the profit margins they were looking for. So now they're having doubts about following through the scenario. Because there's supposed to be a Black Adam 2 in the middle of this where there's a actual meeting with Shazam and Superman in the Black Adam 2 film, which is going to lead to a major DC blowout film. That was the goal that they were all working towards. And Henry Cavill says, you know, after this meeting with Zack Snyder and his guys and his team, it just was shocking to him after this man quit the show, The Witcher, on Netflix, which was a very successful show. They're going to recast The Witcher now because he was told in October by Warner Brothers he was coming back as Superman. So they wanted him to go and make the announcement that he was coming back as Superman in October. Here it is, December, and now he's being told he's being replaced as Superman. This is the dumbest way of handling. It's like they see what the fans want and they go in an opposite direction every single time. It is the most confusing I've ever seen of any film company in history. I've never seen so much division played out in the media. Nothing is behind closed doors. Now the DC fans want James Gunn fired right immediately. So after he says his goodbye to the fans online, fans are pissed because for some reason they wanted to see Man of Steel 2, but I think it's the god awful worst title for a film I've ever seen or heard. But Peter Safran and James Gunn are both in control of the decision making, and they decided to remove Superman's character because they're going to do a young Superman. Granted, no problem. They also said we're going to show a younger adaptation of the Man of Steel, um, which is more of a small town, Smallville type of Superman. Okay, granted, that's fine. You're going to go into Smallville, show this development in Smallville before he evolves into Superman. Okay, granted, we got it. Now, that's fine. Now, once this was done, and you're choosing to go in this direction, Henry Cavill had already made, promises and commitments to the Superman projects that were supposed to be coming. So now he wants to remove the Zack Snyder verse from the DCU altogether. And he's like, well, you're the face of it. Okay, I'm trying to get rid of all of these 40-year-old actors playing these characters because this is a long journey, and I got to deal with a Flash that I don't want to deal with. I got to deal with a Batman. Now, anybody could be Batman, so we can just kick Affleck to the curb and start off with a whole nother Batman. But now I got this problem here with Superman. Superman is an iconic character. Not too many people are going to be bouncing around playing Superman. Well, now you've seen on DC, they got this other Superman that's on um, the CW, and that seemed to be doing well. I didn't know how that was going to work because at one point, Superman was a character like Batman that could not be on television. Those two characters were exclusively not able to be mentioned or put on a television show screen. Warner Brothers thought that would saturate the character as well as the Joker. Those characters could not be in a live action film. And Superman was one. But they was like, look, anything to give a boost to Superman, do it. We need to make another Superman, go ahead, run it. We need to get some positive buzz. Because Superman has been played off as a boring character. Because he's so powerful. It's like, what are we going to do? Make him lose his powers and then he gets his powers again? We've done that. What conflict can we inflict on Superman? Now, I thought Brandon Routh was the better Superman. He was our Superman. He was our guy. He played that character. He was outstanding. I loved it because he embodied what Christopher Reeves was to Superman, and what we didn't get with Henry Cavill is with Henry Cavill we got a more angrier Superman. We didn't get the kindness, the warmth. That's what Superman was about, the people. He actually cared about the people. This Superman that Henry Cavill plays does not give a damn about the people. You don't think he gives a damn about anything. He's like a dickhead Superman. So so it's an entirely different Superman, but the fans love that Superman. Like, I don't like this Superman. He's killing people, you piss him off, you're out of there. I kind of like this Superman. So that's the Superman they like. It's like Superman 3 when they had the mirror fight. It's like everybody liked the Superman that's doing shots at the bar. That's the Henry Cavill Superman. There's like no warmth to the character, no real empathy. So the way he plays the character, to me, is how they wanted him portrayed when they were making the film because, Zack Snyder is pretty dark. All his colors are dark. It's not lit up. It's just low saturation for everything. So it's a just dim movie. It don't jump out at you. So being very upset about this situation that went down with this meeting, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's producer of Black Adam, his best friend Danny Garcia, gets involved and says, "You will always be our Superman, and you are, of course, so much more. Here's to the brilliance that lies before you." Now, Danny's brother, who is Hiram Garcia, and he's also the other producer of Black Adam, said, "You'll always be the Superman of our generation, brother, always." Now, it's not like James Gunn said he's done. James Gunn is basically saying, we're going to bring you back in another capacity down the road, meaning you'll be in Dwayne The Rock Johnson's version of Superman. That won't be a part of my world and my universe I'm creating. But no one's ruled out Shazam and recasting that. But it doesn't look like Zack Snyder had any plans for Shazam. That was all Dwayne The Rock Johnson's. So that whole universe that The Rock is in with Shazam and all of these things, it has nothing to do with James Gunn. James Gunn is there to bring in Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, all of those characters, the main hitters. So the Flash and all of that belongs to James Gunn. The Shazam era, which did very well, Aquaman became the biggest selling movie they've had and was shot very well. I just think they lose steam with Aquaman 2. And then replacing Jason Momoa with who was the perfect Aquaman and trying to suggest he'll be another character like Lobo or something. That's just retarded. A retarded direction. It's like, let's take our actor who's like the highest grossing actor. Like, let's like DC saying, Christian Bale, we got a new character for you to play in the DC universe. So I'm not playing Bruce Wayne or Batman. No, we want you to play the banker. I'm now going to be the banker. And fans won't be distracted by this. Oh, no. Hardly an inconvenience. That was kudos to this guy that's on YouTube that keeps me barely an inconvenience. Man, he cracks me up with those. Really good at what he does. Now, The Rock into the next era of the problem unfollows DC, like the Warner Brothers. He unfollowed Black Adam. That went down today. He unfollowed Black Adam and Warner Brothers, like all the DC stuff. He's unfollowed it. Because here's the problem, they released Black Adam on streaming. Okay? In a panic, Black Adam was made available for streaming at home almost immediately while it was at the movie theaters. The Rock did not agree with this. So if you want it, you could purchase Black Adam at home and watch it. And just lately after that, they're thinking, okay, let's get people gonna be home for Christmas. Let's start running the Black Panther, I mean the Black Adam right now where everyone's at home on HBO Max. The Rock is pissed about this. The Rock is like, you could do that after the Christmas break. Make people want to go to the movies. People go to the movies during Christmas. Let them go to the movies. So they're gonna have it at the movie theaters, and they're gonna have it available for you to purchase. Um, this is very troubling for anyone involved in this movie project because the same thing happened with Scarlett Johansson with Black Widow. Black Widow, which wasn't a bad movie. People, I'm like, why do people think this is a bad movie? I'm like, I wasn't excited about it, but I'm like, this wasn't a bad movie. But anyhow, she makes this movie, and the movie's success was not there. And it was actually the character's last film and the last time she was going to be dealing with Marvel. They gave her a big handsome thing after promising her, gave her promises in her contract what she was going to be allotted to earn in this film, which wasn't there. Now, they put it on streaming because of COVID and everything else. This was not part of the agreement. So this is hurting her projection of numbers for what the film actually does in the movie theater, which is what her contract consists of. And they were like, "No, you're gonna get the money. We're just gonna do." She like, "Look, I don't do with promises, and this is what we're doing." And no one discussed moving into this direction. So once again, DC's biggest problem is Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers gets involved, and then it becomes something else, no matter what the promises was to Dwayne the Rock Johnson and his team. From what I've heard, they are not happy with this HBO Max release of Black Adam and them taking it basically the money away from the film being in movie theaters. Now, people are like thinking, oh, well, it's because people don't like the film. That's why they're not going to see it. No, it's because they're being swallowed by the marketing production of Wakanda Forever, which did a great job with their marketing and setup and rollout. It's too close. The release date was far too close with Black Panther. Now, by them originally having that date as a rollout, when they pushed the film back, of Black Adam, and they pushed it dangerously too close to Wakanda Forever. People thought, oh, this would be a great idea. We could have two movies out with black superheroes. That's not the case because Woman King was out. So you got Woman King, which people was confusing that with Black Panther. Like, is this a movie about the girl from Black Panther? They were confused. They didn't know what that was, but they strategically tried to steal some of the thunder and ride the Black Panther wave, thinking everyone would get confused and run to the theaters to go see Woman King. And then you got Wakanda Forever with a Woman King. Now you got Black Panther and Black Adam. So now this is the new direction. Now, if you've watched the Suicide Squad, which James Gunn is in charge of, James Gunn comes over with a bunch of controversy on his head from some old weird tweets he put out back on Twitter from like 2012. They fired him from Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Marvel did. So DC hired him right away because, of course, DC don't care about stuff like that. So next thing you know, the cast was like, we're not going to continue making this film without James Gunn. So, pissed off, Marvel has to rehire James Gunn back to finish the movie. So, David Bautista is retiring from the character altogether, and Marvel couldn't be happier. They're very pissed off with him and his behavior over this Guardians of the Galaxy 3, making it very public. So now, he's gone. Now, the man who really produced the Avengers and did all the early Marvel things wasn't just Kevin Feige. It was the other man who came in and gave us the remake of Justice League and we got in the theatrical version that made everybody crave for the Snyder cut. Because that Justice League was, oh my God. Josh Whedon totally massacred that movie. But it's not really Josh Whedon's fault. You gave him someone else's work and told him to scribble over it. Make cuts, use certain scenes, but then add new scenes. So you're reshooting with a whole nother budget. So they were just burning money to try to get this movie on the movie screen. When actually the movie was basically fine enough as it is. And when you just brought Josh Whedon in to change the coloring, add more funny jokes and lines and comedy and make it lighter, which he did. He made it very light, but it took serious situations, turned them into jokes, took a main character, made him a side character to the movie, and which ruined the film and broke up the. It was because it's like, okay, well, why do they care so much then? They barely know the guy. Like you lose context of the movie when you watch it in that way because the way things were shot, it was more of an emotional state. And you don't get that because that scene that brought that is cut out of the film. So characters who were supposed to die lived. It's crazy. So now everything has turned around full circle when Zack Snyder releases the Snyder Cut and they see how DC fans reacted to that, how it was huge on HBO Max, people streaming it, and they'll sit around and watch a 4-hour movie. People didn't care. They loved the Snyder Cut and the Snyderverse. They don't matter. 24/7, they don't close. Now, on top of everything else, the whole world was basically up in arms when they were seeing all these things play out with The Rock and Warner Brothers and et cetera, et cetera. Now, what's going to happen for Black Adam 2? Because Warner Brothers is not going to be happy Dwayne The Rock Johnson decides to unfollow Black Adam and Warner Brothers the moment this just happened, they put it on streaming right before Christmas. That's gonna piss The Rock off. Because once it's too early. You could have done it on Christmas Day, made it like a Christmas gift for everybody. Now you've taken more of Black Adam's theater away from them and put it right there at home for everybody to grab, and just you're ruining projectional numbers and everything else and making the movie look like a complete failure, which it isn't. And I'm shocked that people decided to go in this direction. What's going to happen with the DC universe, no one knows. Whatever thing they put out on the screen, you can't really get behind it because you don't know where it's going to end up. So the Suicide Squad that they created this time, which is R-rated, like just gore, all kind of profanity, and it was just obsessive amount of violence with music. That was enough to do a spinoff with John Cena as the lead character and bring back his character from the James Gunn film and brings him into the James Gunn universe. And his little series they had on HBO Max, it was actually good. It was funny, had comedy, very, very R rated, very much full of controversy, and it was a hit. He had his eagerly. It was a funny comedy, light, but to see John Cena play the character that he did, it only made sense in a John Gunn's universe. Now, for us, a lot of people didn't really care about it. So, Peacemaker didn't really like jump off the screen, but it did for DC fans. As with all James Gunn's project, the music is like another supporting character of the films. So this Superman movie will be more musically influenced, and we're gonna go into that when we go into the Screen Fiend version. So if you haven't signed up for my Screen Fiend account, please do so, as we normally don't talk about this stuff here, but this was too big of news to let pass up. So I'm gonna get out now. Then the Screen Fiend, you can go over there. We did the Avatar movie premiere, well, not premiere, but movie review for that, and we have about two more reviews coming that we've seen. Yes, normally I rent a movie theater out and watch a film. This type movie you can't rent out. You can't rent out Avatar. It's just, you can forget that. But there's other films I could just rent out and watch, and that way I could do my reviews there. So I did. Now I'm going to exit and we can go from there. All right? Deuces.